Alright, the letter. The letter from Mr. Hands. So it's like, this is an email that I got, and I redacted some of it because, like, there's potentially identifying information and names on here. Like, honestly, like, I don't really think much of the video, but it's like, it's something that it's like, it's not enough for me to make a whole standalone video about. But at the same time, it's like, it's interesting enough. That happens sometimes. I'll make a video, and then the next day I'll get an email that kind of, it might be like some more information or something like that. Well, let me pull up the email I got here. But basically, it's a guy who, like, believes he was in touch with the fucking, the people. Dear Justin, back in 2009 on the program Second Life, I met a man that went by the name of Blank, who had a story to tell about Mr. Hands. It is all secondhand, so if you're able to sniff him out for a first-hand account, he goes by Blank in real life, so as far as I know, and can be found on Facebook under that name. That's why I blanked it out, because it's always kind of like a gray area when you kind of have someone's Facebook account in a video, because it's kind of, if it's a public account, it's not really doxing, but it kind of is in a gray area, so I didn't want to chance it. Like, even like when I had done the Two Girls, One Cup video, I'd kind of come across something like that, where I found out that the guy who made it was, on top of everything, was also a furry, but I didn't want to post information from his Facebook account, even though, you know, it's out there. Anyway, back to the letter. Now, according to my memory of the story, I was told by Blank is that Mr. Tate had been given permission, and if you remember the video, that's James Michael Tate, the guy who had basically been like the big organizer of the horse fucking crew. According to my memory of the story, I was told by Blank is that Mr. Tate had been given permission from the farm owners to go onto the farm, mostly to help out as a friendly neighbor. However, the owners didn't know about Mr. Tate's extracurricular activities with the horses. Which is interesting because I think then, like, if this is true, and I'm not a fucking lawyer, I don't know. But if this is true, that would mean that, because, like, what they ultimately nailed him on, once again, if you watch the video, was trespassing charges. So if they actually had given him permission, because bestiality was legal at that point, he technically didn't break a law then, and what he's saying is true. At the same time, I'm sure, like, he went to court for this, so I'm sure that this was what he argued in court. But then it's one of those things where people are so outraged, where it's like, we had to get him for something, so maybe they're just kind of like, oh yeah, did you give him permission? And no, we didn't give him permission. Alright, yeah, fuck this guy then. According to him, there were official meetups and scheduled events in which they would go to the farm, and Mr. Tate had to be with them for anyone to go on the farm. According to him, the man known as Mr. Hands was a member of this community for some time, but for some reason or another, had become estranged to the group and kicked out. And on the night in question, he snuck onto the property by himself with a friend that was also not part of the group, without anyone's knowledge. Mr. Hands was apparently known among the group to have heart issues and liked to push his luck. According to Blank, this is what actually killed Mr. Hands. Now, I don't know if this is a factual account or the words of a horsefucker trying to make it sound totally safe and not as bad as it sounds, but according to Blank, while the initial story that the media picked up on said that Mr. Hands died from internal bleeding, it was in fact due to a heart attack as Mr. Hands got too excited and his heart failed him. Now, honestly, I don't believe this at all. Because, especially, alright, so like we have the timeline here where they bring Mr. Hands to, it's correct, no, not Mr. Tate, not Andrew Tate, James Michael Tate, fucking, oh yeah, the guy spelled it, it's like, the Tate of this story is T-A-I-T, but I'm not gonna nitpick over the spelling of the horse fucking facilitator's last name. But, this, like, to me, that explanation doesn't make sense. Because, so, like, we got the timeline, Mr. Hands gets brought to the hospital, where, like, he gets, the medical examiner essentially declares that he died of, internal bleeding. And this was before they really knew, like, the details of, like, what was actually going on here. So, why would, say hypothetically, like, there is some reason for them to fucking, to cover up the heart attack so they can, so they can make the fucking horse fucker community look bad. You know, you wouldn't... You would have to come up with... Surely you would have to come up with, like, some kind of, like, wild conspiracy to turn the public against such a beloved group of people as the horse fucking, the horse fucking enthusiasts of America, right? So that doesn't add up too much to me. At the same time, I think the guy emailed me, like, his theory might be right. This guy, that he might have been, like, a zoophile himself that's trying to make it not sound so bad. Because that seems to be, like, the main thing, like, these people are engaged online, is, like, trying to make everything, like, seem in various different ways not as bad as we think it is. So let me move this, because I realize that, like, covering up the chat, you guys probably can't fucking read it at that font anyway. Alright, where was I in the fucking video? And, like, I see you guys typing there. We'll get to this after. Alright. I'll talk to you guys a little bit after. According to Blankwell, the initial story of the media... Alright, yeah, we got blah, 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 blah. His heart failed him. Blank also said that the video that is so popular of the incident, as you said, not in fact the real video of what happened. I don't know if a video was ever taken, or if some horse fuckers decided to put Mr. Hands on it to get more attention. Either way, the video associated with Mr. Hands' death is almost definitely not of the incident. Or maybe it is, but according to this random dude on the internet in 2009, it wasn't. Sorry I can't be more help. I don't know if the story will be worth your time, or even a glint of any useful information. But it's close enough to the story you told that I wonder how true it might be, with a couple minor differences. Namely the fact that he had snuck onto the property without even Mr. Tate's knowing, and that the horse dick wasn't what killed him. Hopefully this is enough of a scoop to give you a good lead on more to the story, but if not, sorry to have wasted any of your time, big fan. So, oh yeah, and he made a throwaway account. He was like, the email is, I don't want this getting back to me at gmail.com. Because he doesn't want anything to do with it. Now, on one hand, I kind of, like, I do have, like, the contact info for the guy that he's referencing on there, so I could hit him up and be like, hey, do you remember, like, this guy you spoke to on Second Life? Which, first off, like, another thing that sells it to me is, like, this guy, like, there would be a guy there who's, like, a little close to that. It's, like, Second Life, for some reason, I guess, was always a little hotbed of weird guys with weird proclivities. It's just one of those fucking atmospheres that fucking attracts them for whatever reason. Well, not for whatever reason. I guess if you're the kind of guy that wants to fuck horses, surely the idea of disappearing into a second life where you can be someone you can't be in real life, surely that's, I can see the value proposition for those sorts of people, you know? But anyway, I just thought that was, like, an interesting little, addendum to it. That kind of, like, if true, like, corroborates what I was already assuming, that the horsefucker video that we think is the Mr. Hands death video isn't really it. And also, that, I wouldn't be surprised if the story this guy told was, people kind of, like, when these news stories happen, people in, like, various parts of the internet always have, like, these little, like, narratives that kind of circulate that become, like, the true story that we didn't hear. So I wouldn't be surprised if the story that he actually died of a heart attack and not getting fucked in the ass by a horse might have been, like, a popular narrative. Actually, I kind of almost feel like that's something I've seen in, like, common threads on, like, news posts or, like, people, like, forum threads about Mr. Hands and whatnot. That almost sounds like a familiar enough story that I feel like I remember that being a narrative that was around, that he didn't really die of the horse cock, he died of a heart attack. But also, in the, like I mentioned, in the zoo documentary, that there's kind of, the people associated with kind of, like, looked down on Mr. Hands as a weakling who couldn't handle it like they could. So would once again be a narrative that would kind of go into that. Anyway, I also, like, sometimes, from time to time, when I make a video like that, I'll have a few emails that are kind of, like, they're not really worth making a whole other video about, but it might be something fun to kind of go back and go into on streams in general.